Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Coming Down to Earth with Spirit podcast with me, David Hale. Like with Season 1, we will continue talking about all things spiritual in a real and down-to-earth way. So I hope you can join me on my podcast journey so you can learn from my own spiritual journey and experiences with spirit in order to help you on your own spiritual journey and development. So join me now as we get into this episode. Hello everybody. Firstly, happy 1st of July. Can you believe it's July? I can't. It's quite scary how quick time is going, isn't it? This year has just flown past. But happy 1st of July. And happy Pride celebrations to those in the UK. And I didn't necessarily register it until I woke up this morning and realised it is the Pride celebrations in London today. So happy Pride to all of you that are celebrating, whether you are part of the LGBTQ plus LMNOP community or whether you are an ally, straight person, whatever. Because straight people also do celebrate Pride as well. So happy Pride to all of you. And this is actually a last minute episode purely based on the fact that, as I've just said, I woke up this morning thinking, oh, it is Gay Pride, isn't it? Obviously I'm not there. I am here at home recording this episode for you while the other half is actually at work. So it might be obvious as to why I'm doing this episode, because if you didn't know, which I'm sure all of my listeners know just by looking at my eyebrows, is that yes, I am also a gay man as well in a very happy gay relationship. And before we get into the rest of the episode, I just want to give a little bit of a warning here that there is going to be some coarse language in this episode. So if you are easily offended by bad language, then you may not want to listen to it. But obviously it's something that I'm passionate about, and some of the things I will talk about are quite horrendous. So sometimes these words just slip out of my mouth. I can't help it, especially when I'm passionate about something. So I thought I would just do this episode, as it is Gay Pride in London today, to talk about why we still need Gay Pride, why we still need those celebrations from my perspective. And look, I might be preaching to the choir here because I'm fully aware that my loyal followers and fans of my spiritual work are really lovely, open, accepting people. I've never experienced anything different from my followers. So as I say, I'm probably preaching to the choir here. But if you know other people who are not so open-minded, maybe share this with them. Or I may just get the odd homophobe listening to the episode. Don't know. But I just want to talk about it from my perspective and from my experience of being a gay man for the past 22 or so years. So, look, I don't think it's any secret that still today, I, like many of you out there, will have heard or still hear certain people, meaning straight people, ignorant straight people, say things like, why do you need a gay pride? If there's a gay pride, I think we need a straight pride. And you know what? Those people are absolutely right. We shouldn't need a celebration of pride to prove our existence. We shouldn't need to try and validate our worth and to validate that we are worthy to live here on this planet, breathing the same air as everybody else. Because that's what we are. We are like everybody else. We try to live a happy life. We pay our bills. We pay our taxes. We work hard and we add to society through whatever means that is, but it's just like every other person on this planet. But no, we can't exist because of whatever reason people come up with. But still today, in 2023, we have to continuously fight the resistance of ignorant, hateful, homophobic imbeciles. And what for? Because we simply love someone of the same sex? Because that is all it comes down to. Nothing else. that we love someone of the same sex. So pride celebrations exist because certain people in this world do not want us to exist. So we use those pride celebrations to celebrate our existence and our resilience. So then, looking at that, these people need to ask themselves, are straight people vilified for being straight? Have straight people had to fight for their right to exist as a straight person? No, they haven't. And by the way, look, this is not an episode bashing straight people, but if we're going to talk honestly, most of the homophobia, the ignorance and the hate come from the straight community. That's just as simple as it is. But again, having said that, like I said at the beginning, I've never experienced homophobia from my straight loved ones. I'm very lucky in that sense. Most of my family members are straight. I have a lot of straight friends. So again, this is not bashing straight people, but it's calling out those ignorant, hateful people who do give out all the abuse. So let's talk about abuse, bullying, because this is another reason why we have to stand our ground and prove our existence. Now, I came out, as I said at the beginning, around 22 years ago, so I was around 18 years of age. And in that time, I've been called a queer, a faggot, a puff, a cocksucker, just to name quite a few. And that wasn't because I was doing anything gay. I wasn't holding a man's hand down the street. I wasn't kissing another man in public. It's simply when I've been walking down the road and a car full of lads, if we'll call them that, drive past with their windows open, shouting those things at me. And it happened on a couple of occasions. So as you can see there, it was purely because I was existing and that maybe I had a certain walk, or maybe it's because of my eyebrows, that they decided that I was gay, which I was, but they took that upon themselves to go, right, here's a gay man, let's just shout these profanities at him out the window, shall we? And I'm not the only one that's happened to. Many of my friends, that the same thing has happened to them as well. I also remember at a time when I was living in Cambridge, we frequented, obviously, a lot of the gay bars. There's quite a few gay bars at the time that I lived there. And there was one called the Bird in Hand that was on one of the main roads in Cambridge town centre. And many of us would stand out the front with our drinks. People were smoking because you couldn't smoke in the bars at that time. It was all outside. And I remember standing out there whilst eggs were being thrown at the pub by people driving past, these brave people driving past in their cars. There was another time outside the same pub where a car pulled up with their windows down, full of boys, who pulled up asking someone I knew for directions because they were lost. My friend approached the car window, which was open, to give them directions, and they spat in his face and drove off. How fucking disgusting is that? But it happened purely because it was outside a gay bar and they were aware that a gay man was coming to give them what he thought was directions. I also had a friend who I used to work with who was beaten by his own father and kicked out of the family home purely for being gay. He didn't speak to his parents for a number of years after that situation. What kind of parent does that? If you're a parent who can't accept your gay kid, you don't deserve to be a parent. That sounds quite harsh, but not as harsh as being almost beaten to death by your own father purely because you love someone of the same sex. There are places around the world, like the Middle East, where people, men, are being thrown off buildings to their death purely because they're gay. purely because they happen to love someone of the same sex. Up until recently, there's a well-known drag queen called the Vivian who has publicly said, and it's been in the news, that he was standing in McDonald's recently, not as a drag queen, but as I say, in his boy clothes, and a straight person, for whatever reason, took a disliking and punched him in the face. Once again, because he was gay. I've heard lots of children who are at school are being bullied because they're not necessarily out as gay, but they might have an effeminate side, or they hang around with the girls. Some of these children are killing themselves. They are taking their own lives because they're being bullied for simply being who they are. They're not an age where they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend if they happen to be lesbian. They're just being themselves. But yet they're picked on to the point where they decide the only way to stop that bullying is to commit suicide. Now, I'm not a parent, but doing the work that I do as a medium, I do readings for people who have sadly lost their children through whatever reason. I cannot imagine being a parent who loses their child because they think they can't live their life being who they are because of bullies and homophobia. It's disgraceful. So again, if we take it back to those real examples that I've given you, because they happened, when is a straight person beaten by their parents for simply being straight? When was the last time a straight person was in a pub which had eggs thrown at it because it was a straight pub? When was the last time you heard of a straight person being spat at in the face because they were straight? When have you heard of a straight person being thrown off a building to their death because they loved the opposite sex? I guess 0 is probably the answer to that. So no, straight people don't need a pride. They've never been made to feel like they shouldn't exist because of their sexuality. None of this should be happening. We should not be living in a world where people of minority groups need to constantly fight for their existence. And let's talk about this gay agenda. There is no fucking gay agenda. People who say, oh, there's this gay agenda, you're trying to turn my child gay, you're a fucking idiot. You are an imbecile, and it shows your lack of intelligence and shows that you're living with your head up your own fucking arse, because as gay people, we don't want to turn people gay. We're not fucking magicians. We want people to know, especially those people who feel like they can't come out, or they're having issues coming out, or their family have rejected them. We want them to know that there is a community who are here to support them, a community that they can be a part of and be happy. Who is going to be happy living in a household where they are not accepted? Purely, again, not because they're a rapist or a murderer or a paedophile, but purely because they simply love someone of the same sex. Again, I'm very lucky. I've never experienced that. I am wholeheartedly supported by my entire family and friends. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to live in a household which is full of hate, or you are rejected by your own family members. And that's why a lot of gay people find their own family, and that family is within the LGBTQ plus community, not with their own blood family, because the blood family have been arseholes and have rejected them for whatever reason. So they find their community where they can truly be themselves. Can you imagine, and I went through this for a few years, pretending to be someone else, to live a life where you try to be someone else to please other people, because you suppress yourself, and it's exhausting, and I've been there, and that's why I came out when I did. I could not live a lie anymore. It's completely debilitating, it's exhausting, it's depressing, and once again, straight people don't need to go through that. And again, I'm not bashing straight people, but the people need to understand that straight people don't need to come out. Straight people don't need to, you don't battle with your feelings. Oh, am I straight? Oh God, I'm really worried I'm straight. How am I going to live as a straight person? You don't go through that, but gay people do. And it's exhausting, it's tiring, and it can be, for some people, it can be soul destroying to the point where they think the only way out is to take their own life. And that should never happen, because they're a human being who deserves to be here and is here for a reason. So all this gay agenda bollocks is exactly what it is. It's bollocks. And talking about bollocks, I've also heard and seen things on social media where people are saying, oh, there's gay programs everywhere. Gay people are all over the TV. And again, this is part of their agenda, blah, 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 blah. The reason we're on TV is because for many years, we weren't allowed to be on TV. We are simply representing what the world is. The world is not full of straight people. The world is not purely for straight people. The world is for different people of colour, straight, gay, bi, trans, lesbian, whatever. The world needs to be represented by all sorts of people. It's not just for straight white people. And that's why there is no agenda. We are not sending subliminal messages through your TV screen to your children. Don't be so fucking ridiculous, because I get that as well. People will say things like that. All these gay programs are going to turn my children gay. And no, how stupid are you? Nothing can turn your child gay. They are who they are. I was once told by a girl I used to work with that I'm gay by choice. No. And when she said that to me, I didn't know whether to rip her head off or just feel sorry for her ignorance, because there is no choice in the matter. That's like me saying to a straight person, you chose to be straight. You chose to like the opposite sex, because that then indicates that alternatively, you could have woken up in the morning, if you were a guy, saying, I'm straight, but I fancy a little dick today. No, it works. You as a human, and you know who you're attracted to, you know who you are. And it's the same for a gay person. There is no choice in the matter. And further to that, do you really think that I or any other person in the community would choose to live a life where I would have to hide who I am? That I wouldn't be able to walk down the street holding the hand of my boyfriend, that I wouldn't be able to kiss my boyfriend in public for the fear of being beaten up or battered, which has happened to too many people that I know, that I wouldn't be able to go to certain destinations in the world because of their homophobic agendas or the homophobic propaganda. And we know that there are a lot of countries in the world where being gay is illegal and punishable by either death or jail. Do you really think that I would choose to be part of a community who are discriminated against? Don't forget, there was a time up until recently where gay men couldn't even give blood, purely because we're gay men. And apparently, gay men were high risk of catching syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, HIV, any other disease that's out there. But excuse my ignorance, but I'm pretty sure that the straight community can also catch and spread those diseases also. So again, it's the ignorance of certain groups of people who hold us back, who hold the world back. This world, unfortunately, is never going to progress and never going to move forward, because you're always going to have those people that are going to come up with an excuse to deny our existence or want to cause an argument about why we should or shouldn't exist. And one of those excuses is, unfortunately, religion. Now, I'm not bashing religion. I grew up Catholic, but I now consider myself more spiritualist. But now I've heard the least religious person say, well, the Bible says it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Please. come up with another excuse. Please come up with an intelligent reason to dislike a gay person. Let's not refer to a little book which you've probably never read in your whole entire life. And the ironic thing there is, if I was to go into a Catholic church, you'd be very happy to take my money in that collection pot on the way in. So please, let's put those excuses aside and use your own brain to come up with an actual intelligent reason to dislike the community. But sadly, there are some people who are always going to try and find an excuse to deny our existence or to bully us and whatever else. But we will keep fighting and we will keep celebrating. But I feel like that's what I wanted to say. Again, I'm sure that I'm preaching to the choir with this episode, but it was on my mind. I was going to do something about the LGBTQ plus issues in a podcast episode anyway. And I just thought, actually, waking up today and realising it was the Pride celebrations, I thought, well, now's the perfect day to do it. But thank you very much for listening. And I just hope it does give people something to think about. Some people don't need to think about it because they're very open and accepting anyway. But it's just something that I felt like I wanted to talk about today. And I'll finish it off by saying happy Pride to all those celebrating Pride. No, but again, whether it's the people within the gay community, whether it's our straight allies, all those that are celebrating it. Thank you to those people that do support us and that do give us that support and that love, because it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you very much, everybody. Look after yourselves, and I'll speak to you all soon. Well, there you have it. That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and you found it interesting. There are plenty more episodes to come, so stay tuned, and I'll speak to you all soon.